Hello and welcome to this Musescore and Audacity Unlimited Power combo tutorial. I'm your host and instructor, Marcus Unlimited. So, let's get started. So what we're going to be doing here is creating a game title menu music logo for a game that we are building called the Sonnet Collector. Now, what we want to do is we want to send the feel of this music through the title without actually singing this out, because that can get a little bit corny. So think of your favorite superhero character, even though this game is way lighter, upbeat, and no violence in this game at all. Even though this game is really light and cool and fun and educational and such, we still want to pay attention to a wise convention of accentuating this particular title through the feel of the music, and we're going to do that by paying attention to the syllable count. So if we count out these syllables, the Sonnet Collector, we have 6 syllables, and we also know that this is a title menu. Now this is the part of the game where you see this, you basically have just launched your game, and your character is there kind of maybe bobbing from one leg to the next, or they're holding a candle, just something really subdued, and they're just kind of waiting, and maybe a bird flies by and they have this nice little hilly background with the skies or clouds really slowly moving on there, and it's just in this kind of like loop or set of combined really subtle loops as you choose whether you're going to play the game at the high level, medium level, or easy level. And you also might be entering your the player name you're going to play as, whatever that name is for you, or you're going to retrieve the name you've already been playing with. This is just the title menu. That means it can't be too long. We don't want this to be a score where we're composing the main title theme for the film, and it's going to be like 10 minutes of music. And in fact, I should give a little positive disclaimer here. This is a full class tutorial. So just like if you spent a truckload of money to take an extension class at a big university or school, obviously you're not going there to have a 30-second demonstration of something that you could really easily find in the manual yourself. This is a chemical combination here that is only going to be revealed in totality here. This is the only place you can get this, and this is a full class tutorial. So if you want to find shorter videos of mine, I certainly have some. I have some videos that are like 30 seconds, and in all honesty, they weren't doing that well in terms of response. So they are there respecting everyone who likes the longer videos and also respecting everyone who likes the shorter videos. In order to do this, this is a long, full class video tutorial, so that's what it takes. Okay, so now first thing you want to do with the power in just these tools alone, wow, man, that you are talking about, combining, when you're talking about scores, you're talking about combining the great, long tested traditional power of music notation, which is still aggressively and commonly used right now. 2017, we're coming up on 2020, and we're still using a linguistic technology that was used in the days of J.S. Bach and prior. Okay, so very awesome. And we also have super new technology combining all of this together, bits and binaries and programming. Look at this screen we're on, and we're going to be on other screens, digital, programming, the latest in technology, digital signal processing and such. So of course, we want to say, with this type of power available, literally unlimited power available, we want to make sure we have a written plan. And we like to call this pre-visualization. They also use this term in the film industry, previs, And in our pre-visualization here, for us, since we're working with sound, we don't have too many pictures up here yet, but I wanted to make sure that when we go into our notation program that we have a pretty clear set of directives, and that's why these are really summarized here. These are not big elaborate sentences or paragraphs, just to hint that I want at least one staff to be dedicated as a lead sheet style guide staff. And this is so that I can keep my chords and melodies on the same framework. So to accentuate these particular syllables, I took my hands away from the keyboard and also just kind of silenced myself, closed my eyes, and I pictured this little scene that we've been talking about where we have kind of a Victorian era nod, maybe a little steampunk, cool, short, stocky, cute character, and he's anxious to get out there and start collecting these sonnets. So something like one of this, a little too strong. That's that 1 to the 5 thing is when you have, that character's just going to go through and chop through everything and get what he needs and salute him and all that stuff like that. So instead, I wanted something that leans towards mystery, so I'm using an augmented fifth. And this is the little melody that we came up with to accentuate our title up here, the Sonnet Collector. And you will hear that without even singing. You'll hear that just in the melody here. And then a nice resolve. And he's just chilling out there waiting you to select the game level that you're going to play, or the character name or the player name that you're going to select. Okay, so then once we have our guide staff letting us know about how we're laying out this accentuation, and also too with that guide staff we will have the chord progression as well, because we're going to spread out that chord progression across all of our instruments, just banging that out on the digipiano here in the room. Okay, so as I was thinking about that, I was thinking, I'll probably want the melody on high strings, might even be octave or something. And the French horns, I had this idea of having it hang on at that augmented as the other notes went through on the others, and it's going to come down. And you'll see how we're going to do that. And I started picturing this, and that's why I entered these question marks here, because I wanted to make sure that I was letting myself know ahead of time that I want to allow for the interplay of the audible result we're hearing back, allow that to move me a little bit. So, I don't want to be too completely welded onto this idea just yet, but this is a nice directive to go in. I wanted some nice high bells to get at that feeling of magic, so say, but I wanted them to be very sparse, and they're just going to kind of, something like that, different things happening there. We'll see what happens, but I wanted to let myself ahead of time head in the direction of sparse with that. And choral with the last chord crescendo. Now, Musescore has a really cool crescendo effect in it if we are increasing the velocity of each note outlined in the crescendo. So if I had one of those really stretched out less than signs, so to say, underneath these 4 notes, and we go into our settings on Musescore, which I've detailed in a video called that includes French horns and magic and stuff relative to Musescore. You can find that in my videos. If I put that crescendo underneath that, we might have something like this, where you hear each note is getting a applied ratio of a little more velocity, a little more velocity, a little more. Okay, so however, that's not what I want. I want the actual chord to come out here and that sort of thing like that. And on one event to grow like that, we are going to need Audacity. Okay, so and this is the benefit of thinking this through instead of playing around there with the program. How could I trick this or go with a second rate idea on this, whatever? Instead, we do a little previous and we realize that this one thing is going to have to be done on Audacity. So now, I also thought I heard some flutes in my imagination of this detail here, but I didn't want them driving the melody. I just wanted them to kind of rise on the chords, arpeggiated. Okay, so what that did in my thoughts is I kind of had something going on where it was just maybe like we might do something like over that drone thing at the end. So it's just going to decorate that. And of course, remember, this is a really bright, upbeat, no violence in the game whatsoever. Really cool. It's energetic. That's how a lot of excitement is activated, just by activity and energetic and stuff. But anyways, that's why the flutes are kind of so light there, and nothing dissonant at all. Maybe this augmented fifth is about but even then, that's within a minor scale as it separates there, so it's still pretty cool, and really cool the way that's going to work out with the chords. I think we'll see, and I want the underlying cello to kind of generally drive the thing on quarter notes. Okay, so I just put Q notes there because these are just my abbreviated notes, and I didn't need to write this down because it's just so clear in my thoughts. We might have also um, we might also have a thing where we are taking the whole thing and having the piano just really chordal. In fact, let me just go ahead and add that. So piano on entire chordal structure. Okay, so what that means to me, and of course you would want to use terms like if you're doing your own thing, use terms that mean something to me. I look at that and I know what that means. That means that behind the whole thing, I'm kind of thinking it tucked there in the background of doing some sort of just really sitting back in the background instead of some sort of something like that. I just want it sitting back there and filling this up. And one of the reasons I thought about this layout of chords is the Sonnet Collector, with this being about English sonnets, and they're going to be brand new sonnets and everything. So the idea is that sonnets are very elegant, and in fact, that's why I use this particular font here. You see, this is the Vivaldi font. I use that because I wanted to kind of remind myself to keep the. This is going to be more of like almost I want to say like a chamber music groove band type thing, a really unique thing, and I don't want to use a big canned generic epic orchestra set. They have these whole giant sample things where I understand it's people doing their job, but for this one we don't want that just really expected big orchestral thing all at once. We want more of like a quartet, quintet, piano trio type thing, almost like a Schubert thing, kind of bringing that Victorian era thing all into play. So we have our plan in place. Looking good. Let's go into our score and get it started. Okay, so we're going into Musescore now, creating a new work, and we are going to call this the Sonnet Collector. And we're going to say title menu theme, and it looks like I have all this in from a previous, so we're good there. We're going to choose our instruments. Now what I'm going to do is you're going to see me choose voice twice. I'm going to add this here. We can go into our parameters later and affect this. So this is, I'm putting this at the top because I want this to be that lead sheet guide staff that I was talking about. And then let's lay the rest of these out I just want to go by highest pitch to lowest. There are plenty of books that talk about laying this out for exacting rules of a symphony orchestra. I intentionally don't want to do that. I want something that looks really easy for me to look at when I'm going back and forth between other programs in terms of glancing at what's going on from pitch height to lowest. So I think we talked about some glockenspiel or crotales, and I'm hearing this because it has a nice double strike effect. So I'm going to choose that, and then I'm going to choose and I will keep all the strings together, I think, though, standard rule about that. So I'm going to go here and add our violin. And I think I'll keep first and second violins just on the same staff, and then our cello, which is spelled as violoncello. And let's go here, and let's see, what do I want to happen in terms of the bass? I think I want double bass. Yeah, let's go for this. We want a nice warm chord to happen there at the bottom. So we're just going to use those three. That's pretty cool. And then we were also talking about might add a full piano here. Yes. Let's take a look at our plan for a second. We want a flute ensemble, and we want our choral choir. So I'm going to add voice. And you notice this up here. Remember, this is going to be changed. So I'm going to add this, and this will be more of our actual choir there. And I also want our horn in F, which we detailed. That's the secret code name for the French horn. Probably change the direction of this. I think I'm gonna move this one up here eventually, but let's actually let's hang on to that for a second, and let's go to I think we will put, yes, let me go ahead and move this up right now before I get confused about this. Yeah, I want it just above the strings. That'll work fine. And then let's go to, should we add our piano? Check our plan real quick. We want our flute ensemble. I will bring in the woodwinds here, and this will be fine. We will add this. Where do I want this? I want this kind of above the, let's bring this up to, let's go flute. Let's bring this up to our horn in F. And last but not least, we will go to piano. Okay, so I'm going to add the piano, and that looks good. Okay, so let's go to next. As far as our key, playing this out with different keys and everything, I know that it's going to be in the key of G major. In fact, here's a really cool gem. For those of you who ever want to keep in shape with different keys, a cool method I came up with over the years, you're welcome to use this idea on your own concepts and such, is to keep in shape with seeing different keys, because a lot of works are only in a few positions, so to say, like, maybe there to there, lots of this. And they do that because it is a lot easier to read for, especially after you get in the habit of just seeing these certain positions over and over again. What I do is every month, I use the circle of fifths. So like in the month of January, I generally do most of my compositions, unless I'm required to do something else. I do most of my compositions in the key of C or A, and then the next level of circle of fifths would of course be G. So I'm doing this right now in February, so we're going to go ahead and work in G major, okay? And then next month, of course, I would be working in D major. And that's a cool way, you know what I mean? You go through the whole year. There's 12 key signatures, technically 24 main keys, but, including the majors and minors. But you have 12, and I thought one day I was like, yeah, you know what I had to do is 12 key signatures, 12 months, kind of keep in shape with that. And as far as our tempo, so I think it's going to be around 100. Yeah, let's go ahead and keep that, okay? We can play with that in the score if we need to. Let's come here. So I'm looking at 1, 2, 3, and okay, so that's going to be 4/4. Very nice. And 1, 2, 3. So we're going to have a pickup measure. Yes, we are. We're going to be like 1. Okay, and the pickup measure. What the pickup measure is sometimes you want to start a piece on something that is not a full measure, and I have this so clearly thought out in my mind, that plus I have it scratched out on a legal pad here before we got into any staffs, and I just know that first thing is going to be on the 4 beat, so to say. So it's gonna go 4 1. So we are like 4 1 2 3 4, and it comes back to there. So I want the pickup measure to happen on this of the 4, and I want it to last for 1 beat of the 4. So cool, it's already laid out there for us. So we're going to have, looks like we have, I think, let's just be safe and go, we could change this later. I think this is too many, but let's go for this. Let's go for 6, okay? And that's what we have to work with in our create new score wizard here. Let's click finish, and we have a lot going on, okay? So the first thing I want to do is I want to go in here and affect so I'm clicking right click on this voice, and I want to go to staff properties. Part name here we want to call guide. In fact, you know what? Just let me follow the old convention, lead sheet, okay? And we might use like a different instrument. Let's stick with this for right now. We could actually go here and choose a different instrument. Long instrument name is going to be lead sheet, and this means on the forthcoming measures, when we want a short abbreviation, we're just going to go LS with a period there. I'm going to click apply, but that would probably happen when we just click OK. So very good. Okay, so and let's make sure we've done a lot of preparatory work here. So let's go ahead and save as. So let's go out to where I have this, the Sonnet Collector. Okay, and I'm going to come out here. I always like to work with versions numbers, version 1, and that way if you have any big changes. And now let's talk about laying this in and showing you how we lay in chords. So here's our beautiful little pickup measure already taken care of for us. We need our first note, and that first note is going to drop in as a, it's going to drop in, I think it was as a, yeah, we're starting on the 1. So we're going to come in here, I'm going to press the letter N, and then I'm going to come in here and drop our, it's going to be, yeah, let's start on the 1 there. Okay, and I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to enter this on an E, but we actually want E flat, and all I'm going to do there, in fact, I want to change to a, there we go. Let's move this back. There we go. That gets our augmented fifth. What I did there is I just went out here, came back, selected the note, and using the up and down arrows, came up with the flat. If you come down at it, here's what happens if you go up to it. You hear it, you see how it sharped it? But for our nomenclature, what I want to happen here is I specifically want it to go to that particular note there, okay? So the flat. And now we're going to have a dotted, let me exit this note and go to our next position there. We're going to have a, I want to have a, so that's going to be a dotted quarter note and an eighth note. So let's come out here and go dotted quarter note. See, and this is going to turn our quarter note into the equivalent of 3/8 notes. And we're going to come out, and we're going to come out here and drop this on an A, and then we're going to have, we want our eighth note over here. This is going to come back to home. And then it comes to a couple long notes over here. So we're going to, I can either select that with a keyboard shortcut, or I can come in there and just press that in there. I want our half notes to play a nice D, and then a nice B, and then I think I want it to resolve on a really long. Now there's two ways. I'm going to show you this note here. The double whole note will do just that, and it will automatically put ties in. In fact, let me show you both. Okay, so I want it to resolve right there at home for our drone. Okay, in fact, I'm probably going to change this note here because I just thought of something with the chords. And you'll notice it puts a tie in for us, but just in case we aren't going that route, let me select Control Z and undo. And let me show you this other way so that you know how to tie other notes as well. So we're going to go here and type in our resolve, which is our G. But you know what? I'm going to have that G picked up through the chord as kind of a reminder of what I want to do here. And I'm going to go press this in, and then I'm going to enter my other note here, which happens to be a whole note. I'm going to do this so that you can see how we do a tie. I'm going to press the letter N and exit note entry mode, and we see that we have this last note is highlighted, and I want it to go back to this one and while keeping it, so I'm going to hold down shift, and there we go, and it's selected both of them. And we just come up here, we can use either the plus sign, there we go, see our keyboard shortcut of the plus sign, or we can press tie, and there we go, and we get that nice join. Let's take a listen. Good. Okay, cool. Now, this is where one of the places that Audacity is going to help us is I want this to really gently fade, and we're going to accentuate that through our work here. So now, as we get down into this, I want to be able to quickly just look right up and know where we are at in terms of our harmonic structure. Doing a Control S save there. And let's come over here, and we're going to start right here. I want to throw in a chord over the top of that. So I just pressed Control K, and we can adjust the sizing on screen, all that stuff, over time. I want a G built over a B. Okay, and then I just pressed the tab key to take us to the next note. And this thing I really want. Remember, we're going for like a quartet or quintet thing, so I want a lot of chordal accentuation of these notes because we don't have a situation where the giant orchestra playing one monophonic line is going to be suitable for us. We really want to decorate the background of our lead notes with this. And the next one is going to be a C minor built over a G, which is going to be this and this. In fact, let me back out of MIDI here so I can play these without accidentally firing in some MIDI notes that end up being surprising. And you notice it keeps our tempo locked to the measure that we want. Just want this out. In fact, I'm going to pull this. I like these actually way over here. Very cool. Okay, cool. Now our tempo is kind of out of the way, and you saw how I did that. Very easy. Now let's come back in here, and I'm going to select this. Just went in there and double-clicked, and I'm going to press Tab again. And actually, I wanted to get me in on this note here, so I'm going to click. There we go. It's going to try to logically go to the next typical chord spacing, but I want to do something. You usually don't have chords on every single little note like this, but this is our main guide, and I love to do this. And what's cool is you see how it made a size adjustment, because like, well, if he's going to throw in another chord here, he needs a little more room so he can read these instead of seeing like a C, G, M, L all mashed up into one. And this one is going to be our nice, just even D there. And I'm going to hit this again, but it keeps wanting to take me over there because it's like, buddy, most people don't put this many chords typed in there, but I really do want in the background something like, we're going to have. We haven't figured out the octave yet for all that because different things are going to be happening in different places. So I do want all that happening in the background. So. And in fact, you could just take this, and if you wanted to use something like Reason, you could take this lead sheet, and as long as you knew your chords, I mean, I'm looking at that, I could do all kinds of just. That could be like a guitar or something like that, and I'm just looking at those chords and saying, oh, hey, let me chop that up with a little, voicing interplay with that. But we're going to break this down in Musescore here. So our next chord there we're going to enter is going to be an A minor 7. There we go. Sounds like that. Now I'm pressing Tab, and now it's doing a jump because, like, yeah, okay, finally, you're being a little more typical here with these chords. We have the A minor 7, and the next one is going to be a G major 7. Sometimes folks like to write it out in a different way. You'd like to go M-A-J. You can do that if you want, but I really love the more logical jazz convention, big giant capital M, why add to this. So jumped measures for us there. I hit that tab key. So I'm going to go here and instead Control K for chords, spelled with a K. Just think of that in your mind. So we have our G major. And I'm actually going to enter a G5. Now, the 5 chord, you know what the G5 means? It means that you actually skip the third and you just go, you're just given the 1 on the 5. You'll notice that, now this note right here, this note is actually the third of that chord. I'm accentuating the G5 so that when I start thinking of these other orchestral, the layout that I do of this, I want my lows here, like I'm probably going to have the double bass pick up this G, and then the third is probably going to happen on the cello like that. And I don't want that G major all bunched up like that. So what I have is, I like that spread, so what I'm doing here is I'm showing the sparseness to myself as a reminder as we get stretched out here on all these other notes. I want the sparseness displayed up here, and then I want the center of that picked up by a more melodic instrument. And once I'm in there, I'll remember this, and that's what helps me do that. And then I think we're just going to have this carry on, so we'll leave that G5 in there probably to the ending. So let's check this out. So we have what do we have here? There we go. That's our official write-in of that theme. So, very nice. Okay, so I'm going to click. You see we have our asterisk letting us know, hey, buddy, lots of work. You never know, man. Hit that Control S. Okay, cool. So, now, let's see. Let's go ahead and add our... let's add, in fact, this is a really cool thing about a guide track here, is we can go to here, and I'm going to do a Control C, come down here to violin, come out here, and I don't want, in fact, so let's get rid of our actual, don't want any chords down here. That's just for our guide, okay? And so that way we don't have to re-enter the notes there. And I want that to stay on our melody. And I'm just going to do this way. Come in here. Very cool. Okay, let's take a preview. Okay, cool. So I think I'm going to try, and this is the beautiful thing about using that, bringing in the jazz and the classical thing. You get this total, you can just glance right at this and you know, okay, so I know I want, so we're going to go chum, 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 that sort of thing on the cello down here. Fancy terminology usage for that. That's cool. So, so we can come down from like, so let me just check this out here. We're gonna go we could do something like that, or we go I like something like that, simple. Let's try that. So let's go here and go to our cello, and we're gonna go I want this pretty low, so now remember, for those who are maybe new to music theory, our note positions change when we're on the cello. We have in fact, let me blow this up here so you can see this. Control plus, and we're going to do that again. I'm going to use the keyboard shortcut though. I'm going Control plus. There we go. And then just click anywhere here, and we're going to move this up. Could have done that on the first one, but I liked you seeing that whole chord line, so that's cool. That's good how that worked out. And we're going to come in here on our cello, and we are going to drop a we're going to bring in some staccato here, and I'm going to show you a really cool feature in this. And that's going to come into a we're going to come into the next one there, which is a, what do we have up here? A D, so we got a root of D, A. Let's go with roots for now. D, A, G, D, and then let's come down here to a okay, so I think I'm gonna start this on our actual root there. Okay, cool. And it looks like we have, let's come in here. We'll leave that last note alone. Okay, so I'm selecting here, and now I'm holding down the shift. Actually, let me start here and go this way instead because of our pickup measure. Now I have these selected. One thing that's very important, a lot of people don't know this, is our first measure here is, oftentimes it comes up like this, and see how it says basic? These are our palettes, and it says basic. I want to go to advanced here, and this pulls down all of these other features here. And what we want to do here is click articulations and does it say ornamentation? No, ornaments. Articulations and ornamentations. With our area selected, I click this one time, nothing happens, but when I double click, there we go. We've just had staccato applied to all of our notes. If we wanted to take it away immediately, we just do that. Or, now I'm going to press Control Y to bring it back, okay? So, cool. All right, so we have our nice cello down there, and the staccato really helps bring that out. So let's come back here and take a look at what we have here. we have let's just do, and this right here, whenever we see something like this means that this will actually be played an octave beneath what's actually entered on the score. So that means that for here, I'm going to leave, I think I'll leave this out for a second and just make sure that we have on our last things we have. I just want that. Let me just hear what this sounds like on coming in on just the end here. Just the end here. So we're going to drop a nice G down there. So let's go. In fact, this one, let me do it this style. I'm going to click the double whole note, and I'm gonna press the letter N, I mean, and then I'm gonna do the double whole note and come down here, and we are going to drop our G. There we go. Should be nice. And we really hear that we want to do some fade outs there on that, and that's what we're going to need Audacity for, okay? So I'm going to continue on with this composition, but from here, I'm going to break this up into multiple parts, okay, for this tutorial. This next thing, I'm just going to be entering these notes to fulfill the promise put forth up here in our lead sheet version of this, held in the same score, clicking Control Save there. And I'm going to fill this out, and you see the procedure I'm using. And when we come back to our next video in this series, what we're going to do next is we are going to do our export and go over into Audacity for part 2 of this, okay? So thanks for tuning in. You're going to learn a ton. Let me save you the entry of these little notes I'm going to put in through here, and we will see you on the next one.